We're going to get to know Ophiuchus a little better here. Ophiuchus is who we're looking for in the July night sky. Let's see where we can find him. This is lesson 3 of our free beginner video course to help you learn the star constellations of the night sky using nothing more than your curious mind and naked eyes. In lesson 2, we learned how to find Scorpio the Scorpion and Aquila the Eagle. And in our bonus 4th of July video, we saw both Scorpio and Aquila again, and we're also introduced to the constellation of Ophiuchus for the first time. This information is going to help us in this piece. In recent years, Ophiuchus has gotten some extra attention, becoming known as the 13th sign of the zodiac. One of the reasons for this is because, as you can see, the foot of Ophiuchus does touch the arc of the ecliptic too, the same as the other 12 zodiac constellations do. So some astrologers made a strong case that because of this, Ophiuchus should be included in astrology. Now, these constellations are known to most only through their star sign in astrology, and this renewed interest in Ophiuchus as the 13th sign of the zodiac is something that we're going to be getting into in another video, but for this one, let's learn to do something that not even your favorite astrologer likely knows how to do. How to actually find the star constellation known today as Ophiuchus in the summertime night sky. So we're looking again at what I call the real oracle or the real all-seeing eye, and it's this special area of the sky where the arc of the ecliptic crosses the north-south meridian line when we face due south and look up. During the month of July in the Northern Hemisphere, you will find Ophiuchus right in this area of the cross of the north-south meridian line and the arc of the ecliptic, traveling right above Scorpio the Scorpion's location. Now, from our knowledge gained in how to see Scorpio from lesson 2, all we have to do is lift our gaze just a bit higher from Scorpio's location, and still traveling along the arc of the ecliptic, you will find Ophiuchus during the first 2 hours after sunset throughout the month of July. Now, Ophiuchus can be a bit more of a challenge to identify for a couple of reasons. There's not a lot of very bright stars in this constellation, but the tip of what I call Ophiuchus's hat is what I use to try to identify this constellation a little easier. But it's also the spread out way that this constellation takes up space in the night sky also makes it a little bit more difficult to find. But using the information that we already learned from finding both Scorpio's and Aquila's location in the last lesson, you might now have an easier time locating Ophiuchus with that information. Ophiuchus is known as the Serpent Handler, often known as the Wounded Healer, and hopefully this will help you find him in the summertime sky. Now, the information that we're learning here comes from a series of books called Constellations by Campfire, The Easy and Naked Eye Way. The specific information in this piece comes out of the summer season for the Northern Hemisphere book, and it's available in both ebook and paperback versions on our website, starsnearme.com, or you can find the links down in the description. This is an old celestial atlas drawing of Ophiuchus, the Serpent Handler, and when comparing it to this stick figure drawing of Ophiuchus, it's a bit harder to see this mythological man from how this constellation appears in the sky, right? Well, as we're going to learn here, some of these constellations do look more like what they are said to represent than others do. For instance, in constellations we've already looked at, like Ursa Major, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquila, don't you think it's easier to see what our ancient ancestors looked up and saw in the bear, the lion, the scorpion, and the eagle than it is to see the man handling a serpent here in this constellation we call Ophiuchus? But we're also going to learn more and more as we go forward that some of these constellation drawings, as beautiful as much of this art is, it was also being used to cover up some of these bigger and higher truths about the knowledge of these star groupings, the way that they move, and how long we've already known these truths, and who exactly have the knowing that's being covered up today. Here's just a quick example of what I'm talking about. So if you look at mainstream sources, like for this one, we're going to take a look at Wikipedia, If you search Ophiuchus on Wikipedia, you're going to return this result, and it says here that there are no known sources of the mention of the constellation of Ophiuchus until the classical period. So that means we're talking the 4th or 5th century on the BC timeline, and this is ancient Greece. But from the enormous discoveries that we made, I can tell you that even though this same star constellation known today as Ophiuchus may have been called this name starting only in the 4th or 5th century BCE there in Greece, I know that this exact same constellation was known long before that, going all the way back to a very different time in civilization, possibly as far back as the 24th century on the BC timeline. So in other words, that's 2,000 or more years older when Ophiuchus was known, among other things, as a wounded healer in the ancient Greek culture. But in this much older civilization, he had a similar story, but this had a different name. But it's the same constellation taking up the same space in the same sky as who we call Ophiuchus does today. So we'll get more into all of that and deeper into the mythology of Ophiuchus and the renewed interest in him lately of being the 13th sign of the zodiac in astrology in other videos. But for now, hopefully we've presented you with enough information to take a look outside tonight in the July sky, first 2 hours after sunset, using Scorpio's location to guide your way. Look a little bit higher and see if you can find Ophiuchus, the Serpent Handler, in the sky tonight. And if you like the Ophiuchus design featured in this video, you can find it in the starsnearme.com shop. All the links are down in the description. Until next time, stay lit and be well.